Bambu Lab R2D2. No, not really, but I simply cannot get over the fact that they chose to call the new printer H2D, and I constantly want to say H2D2, R2D2, H2, R2, but yeah, it's really kind of funny. And no, it's not the printer that you can see behind me, but yeah, who knows what it will look like. Welcome to this video today. For those of you who have not watched any of my previous videos or doesn't know anything about me, I am Edis. Well, my name is Edis, and I am completely and utterly blind like a newborn kitten. But I always look on the bright side of life. Anyway, and I do 3D printing and designing independently, and that's what I primarily talk about in these videos. In today's video, however, I want to talk a little bit about the new Bambu Lab R2D2, H2D, sorry, not R2D2, H2D. And yeah, it will be very interesting to see what will happen there and what that printer will look like once it's released. And also, it will be very interesting to see whether that printer is my second printer or if it's not my second printer, if I will be going with another printer. In my hands here, I have my latest design. It's a prototype and it's full of tree supports. As you can see, I just took it off the build plate. What I'm trying to make here, well, you can guess in the comments. And yeah, let me hear what you think. What you think I'm creating. I'm gonna remove all the tree supports while we talk. So the Bambu Lab H2D is the new printer coming out from Bambu, and it will be released on the 25th of March. And well, we don't know too many details outside of the speculations. They have revealed a little bit. They're teasing us, but from what we know so far is that the printer will most likely have a dual hot end, which means that it would hopefully, probably, most likely be very, very good at doing multicolor design and not wasting so much filament while doing that. So that's a feature which is extremely interesting, and we'll see how that turns out. I mean, this is nothing new as far as I can tell. I'm not really a huge 3D expert. I'm getting there, hopefully, in a couple of years, more years. But it's nothing new. It's pretty basic, I guess. I know that the Prusa XL have 5 hot ends. At least that's the maximum capacity. So yeah, it's nothing new. But what will be interesting here is if Bambu Lab can do that design so easy and intuitive as they've done with pretty much all of their other Bambu machines. The second thing that is speculated on, now this is not something that we know, it's just speculation, but we will see what will happen, is whether the new printer will have a laser module. And well, I'm not too big of a fan of that because I'm actually, I don't know, I think a 3D printer is such a complicated machine that you don't really need to complicate it even more with a laser module. But who knows? Maybe they will manage to make something smooth, cool, easy. Who knows? I mean, yeah, they're known for the very easy usage of their printer. So maybe they'll do this, but I'm not too big of a fan of that. Now, in terms of the build volume, it is speculated that it will be around 340, maybe 50 on the x-axis, and it has actually, it's not really like with their like printers right now where it's 256 times 256. It's kind of a more odd numbers, I would say, because it is 340 or 45, 50, something like that on the x-axis, and I think around 325 on the y, and maybe 315. I don't remember exactly. You can look that up. On the z-axis. So it's kind of odd numbers, but I guess that's because of the dual hot ends. Now, what will be interesting is whether we will be able to use that entire build volume, which I don't really think. It's kind of interesting because why that is even allowed in the beginning, like having also with cars. I mean, yes, you have a car that can do like 340 kilometers, maybe 900 kilometers, but that is an optimal like quality or optimal conditions. So that's not really, I mean, what we want. Yeah, and the printer will apparently have a heated chamber. Right now, it does not have a heated chamber. I mean, the way the heating is made so far is that the bed and the nozzles and all that's making the heated chambers, but it doesn't really have a heating module. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that will turn out. Some of this tree support is very stubborn, and yeah, it's a prototype, so I need to remake some of the parts, but we will see how that turns out. And yeah, so March 25th, it's going to be extremely interesting to see what they will make. Is there anything else I can say? Yeah, actually, so for me, right now, what I'm looking at is when I do designing and printing, I'm trying to create. I've made a lot of like small toys. You can check all that out on my website. But what I want to get into now is trying to make accessible board games, which is, well, I kind of need a bigger build volume for that because if you have, you can imagine that you have like let's say you have this like say you have an accessible chessboard. You would have to make first of all, you have to make it big enough so that blind people can feel what they're doing. Second of all, you have to create it so that you can do some coloring so that visually impaired people actually can see it. And that is why I'm looking for a bigger build volume. I would have hoped for a volume of like maybe 360 or even 400 times 400, but well, that's not what's happening right now. But we'll see what will happen when the printer is released. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about the printer. Um, this is the prototype product. I'm trying to make a small ornate dragon flower vase. As you can see, made the small dragon head there, or well, something that I'm trying to make look like a dragon figure, and here as well. And as you can see here, I don't know if you can see it actually, but I broke one of the heads off, which is not good. And I try to make some ornate like designs here. Yeah, and it's hollow. Kind of interesting because my girlfriend doesn't really like um, doesn't really like when I'm creating 3D stuff because, well, for me as a blind person, I like when it's tactily interesting, but that doesn't always translate exactly to visually appealing. So yeah, we'll see what happens once I'm done with this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you like what I'm doing, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, like, comment, all that good stuff. Go check out my website. Go check out me on MakerWorld. Help spread the word of accessible design. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday.